Hey, how's it going? This is Jared. It's Jared Glant here. It's all right. Cardone Zone's cool, man. Cardone Zone's cool. Jared Glant here, Vice President of Sales for Cardone Training Technologies. This is the management support webinar for Cardone University. So thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time today. Man, it's been a crazy week so far. Just give you a little background on what I'm coming out of. Monday, Grant and I flew to Scottsdale, Arizona, and we flew out there for a meeting that was going to be Tuesday morning with a company called Northwestern Mutual. And great lesson about this for you, for your people, and just in terms of what a policy you can put in place for your company that is just extremely effective. Never, ever, 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 ever go somewhere and only see one customer or one client. So that meeting that we had Tuesday morning with Northwestern Mutual actually became 3 meetings on Monday, the Northwestern Mutual on Tuesday morning, and then a meeting with a company called Zenefits after that. So what we were able to get out of that was 5 more opportunities, 2 of which are going to turn into big juicy deals, because we didn't just settle with, hey, we're going to go one place, see one person, do one meeting, and bounce out. We were actually able to go out and see a bunch more people and reach a ton more people. So just a little thing that we've seen and experienced here. So hopefully you can take that and use it. If you have any questions, you can call in live or you can chat here in the chat field. You can call in. The number's 305-865-8668, 305-865-8668. Today we are talking about something that is near and dear to the hearts of every manager. How do I find good people? No matter where I go, no matter what business, no matter what city, no matter what part of the country, no matter what level of position, the question always remains, how do I find good people? So today I want to go over a few things that we engage with here is sort of a checklist to make sure that you're actually getting good people, right? Not just people that show up and take up space, not people who bring down morale, not the people who turn into cancers within your company, but the people who are rock stars, the people that show up on time, the people who are all sold out and bought into everything that you guys are doing, the salesperson that grows into a manager who thinks every single day, day in and day out, as if it were their business, not just as a normal employee. So I've got a few things to do here. I've got a couple tips pre-hire, so pre-interview, and then also a couple tips from the interview as well that I think will help you out. So let's just jump right into the pre-hire process. So built into Cardone University, you actually have some pretty unique tools that you may or may not be using. One of them, first and foremost, is going to be the DISC assessment through Tony Alessandra. Now, if you don't have access to this, you can call the office. It's available for a nominal fee. These assessments are typically $70 per assessment, right? And we have a small monthly fee that you can pay in order to get unlimited access to this. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that when you do have an inbound reach from somebody that they actually match what you're looking for in your group. Now, the way to do this, to actually start with this, is to take a potential new hire. So we have somebody that emails or that calls and says, hey, I want to work with your company. Okay, great. The first thing that we require of everybody is we require a personality assessment, because that's what we hire off of. We want to make sure that people, their personalities are in line with what we know to be successful. Now, you're probably asking, well, how do I know what's successful? Okay. So what you want to do is you want to look at the people in your group, in your organization, who are those high achievers. Now, the personalities in accounting may be very different than the personalities for sales. And the personalities for web design may be very different from the personalities in administration, right? So it's important to understand that you have to be benchmarking against the right position, the right person. So for example, in the sales office, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go use this DISC assessment, the one that you have access to now, and I'm going to give the DISC assessment to my top 3 performers. Now what that's going to do is it's going to show me, what do I need to be looking for, right? Like what do we know to be successful? Now, most of the time on the DISC assessment, your top performers, your top producers are going to be, high Ds, in the DI range, and you want to use that as your benchmark. Okay, so kind of like the first level of the process. Thank you so much for applying for the position with our company. We're excited to learn more about you. Before we set up our first call, what I'd like you to do is complete a personality assessment. It's the DISC assessment. And now what you're going to do is you're actually going to set this person up with a username and password into your system, okay? So when you go into Cardone University and you create a user profile, you can actually set an expiration date on it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a user up with access to the program. We're going to give them an expiration date. We're probably going to set them up with 3 or 4 days of access, and I'll talk about that in a minute here. The first thing we're trying to do is just get them set up in the system, because I'm going to give them a username and password that they're then going to use with instruction to log into Cardone University and go down and complete the DISC assessment. Okay, that's the very first thing that's going to happen, and we are actually going to have them complete the assignment in the platform. And if you have questions on how to get this set up specifically for you and your business, just call the office and we can walk you through the whole process. But we're actually going to go in and we're going to set it up so that the DISC assessment gets emailed to us once they complete it. Okay, so now I've gotten an email, I've gotten a reach. I send out a canned pre-typed out email. Hey, thank you so much for your interest in our company. Before we move forward, what we'd like you to do is complete a personality profile, since that's what we hire off of. I've included below your credentials to log into the platform. Okay, so we're going to send that email out. Next thing we get is we get the personality assessment back. Based on the results of the assessment, you can see if it makes sense to go to the next level. Okay, so the next level once we get the assessment back is, thank you so much for your for submitting your personality assessment. It looks like you might be a potential fit for our company. You want to always leave that seed of doubt, right? Because you want to try to engage the ego, which again we'll talk about in a little bit here. So we want to make sure, hey, you might be a fit for our company. In the meantime, while we're scheduling a call, in the meantime, I'd like you to go back into the Cardone University program, and I'd like you to view some content in the system. The training is very important. The product that you're going to be selling, in our case, the product that you're going to be selling is based inside the platform. In your case, selling your product. Hey, training's important. We do it every day. I want to make sure that you understand everything that's on the inside and outside of this platform. And so then what we're going to do is we're actually going to monitor their activity through the system over the remaining period of their demo access. So right now we're 72 hours in. We've gotten a DISC assessment back. It looks like it could be a fit. We've monitored their activity in the system. Through the usage reports, we can actually go through and identify, hey, look, what are these people interested in? What are they looking at, right? We start learning more about their behaviors, right? Because behaviors will tell you more than words in most cases. You ever had that person in an interview where they come in, they're saying all the right things, they're the smooth talker, saying they're going to do whatever it takes, and then 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later, you're like, what happened? What happened to the person that I interviewed? Or the person that walks in and 15 seconds after they sit down, you know without a doubt that they are not going to be a fit for your company. Right? You get stuck in all these situations, right? So what we want to do is we want to try and bypass those. So we've gotten the DISC assessment back. We've gotten access to the program out. Now what we're able to do is we're going to be able to see a couple of things. We're going to be able to see, one, how willing are they, right? So when I tell somebody, hey, this program that you're entering, the program that you logged into, okay, in order to to take the DISC assessment, that platform right there is something that we use in our company every single day. It's a multi-million-dollar investment. We want you to be successful here. Okay, we've had a major outlay in training and development because we want you to have success here. If you use the content that program's based out of, you will have no problem making 100 or 150 or 200 or whatever the upside of the income is on your in your opportunity there. But so we're selling this big kind of story about, wow, man, hey, if I just get in here and train, I actually got a shot at making some money here. So we're going to be measuring the willingness, because if you set up that potential prospect, if you set them up by saying, hey, we've made a major investment, it's important to us, we do it every day, right? You're starting to kind of set them up for like, okay, hey, wow, maybe I should take a look at this platform in a little bit more detail. So one, if they don't go through the system, you know that they don't have the willingness. They're not hungry, right? Another good thing we're looking to monitor here is the ability to follow instructions, right? So keep in mind, we have not had a phone conversation with this person yet, right? We've had 2 responses, 2 reaches, and they've been canned responses, preset emails, okay? So now we're able to, through their activity, monitor their willingness. We're able to monitor if they're hungry. We're able to monitor if they're able to follow instructions. And then lastly, we're able to monitor what they're interested in, or maybe even what their weaknesses are, right? So I'll give you an example. we're rolling out a client, and I'd given access, like a temporary access, to a few of the salespeople. And so when we started the whole complete rollout for the company, I pulled up the reports, and there was a little bit of activity because of the passwords we had given out pre-launch. Well, it turns out the passwords that we had given out were for some of their top salespeople. And so I'm going through the management launch, and I'm viewing the reports, and I see, wow, hey, whoever this was went in and viewed 40 segments of content. 40 segments of content in a period of 48 hours, it's quite a bit, okay? So the manager was like, hey, what were they looking at? Who was that? So we go in, it was one of their guys that had been there for 12, 15 years, something like that. We go into the report, find out all that person's looking at is closing material. Everything in the close, handling money objections, specifically, that's what it was. So they're going through, they watched every single possible close for handling a money objection. Now, what does that tell you as a manager, right? Tells you, hey man, my people are interested in learning more about closing techniques. So now you can be proactive as a manager, you can see their activity, you can see their interest, and now you can tailor your one-on-ones or your support for your people based on what they're interested in or what they need, right? Not like in school where you get put into a classroom, a British literature classroom, and you're reading sonnets and William Shakespeare and all this other stuff you have absolutely no interest in. Now maybe that was you, I don't know. I hated Brit Lit. Hated it, man. Big old long books. The Iliad. What am I supposed to learn? How am I going to make money with that, right? So anyways, it allows you to kind of get a feel for people, right? So we've sent out the DISC assessment. We've gotten them in the program. We've observed and monitored their activity. And now here's the third thing that you want to do. Okay, again, this is the final filter before the interview. You're going to ask them to send a 60-second video to you, okay? 60-second video, you want to give them as little instruction as possible, right? We want to see what they're able to come up with. Now, this is something that if you try to get a job here, this is something that we do 100% of the time without fail. Hey, I want to come work for you. Great. Here's a username and password. Let's get your DISC assessment. By the way, while you're in there, check out a lot of stuff. We're a training organization. We do this every single day for at least an hour, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. It's going to be a big part of what you do. And by the way, if you view all of the content in this platform, you got a great shot at making 250, 300 grand a year here. Okay, so I've set all that up. Now, I get the DISC assessment back, looks good. Go into the platform, view their activity, looks good. Okay, now I want them to send a 60-second video so I can see how they use technology, reinforce how they follow instructions, just see how creative they are, right? So then you're going to have them send a 60-second video. Just say, hey, email me a YouTube link of a 60-second video of you telling me why you are going to be our next sales superstar. Okay, that's all the instruction you give them. Well, what do you want to see? I'm going to leave that up to you. Okay? Now, you'd be surprised at how many people just completely just give up right there. They're like, a video? A video? Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know if I've ever done a video. I don't know if I could do a selfie video, right? But you'd be amazed at some of the creative things you learn about people. You see their presence. You see how they carry themselves, right? Maybe you can even see some of the surrounding things that they're behind. I got this one guy sending me videos in the mountains in Colorado, right? So it just gives them the ability to be creative. And then so based on those three things, you make the determination of if it makes sense for you to actually move forward to an interview. So those three steps are going to be really important in making sure that you, in fact, get the right people in your organization in the first place. And we got a caller on the line from Indianapolis. I'm going to go ahead and jump on that call. Justin.
Hey, Jared. Hey, Jared. How's it going?
What's up, man? How are you?
I am excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. Where are you calling from?
Indianapolis.
What's the name of your company?
Residential Refinishings.
Residential Refinishings?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. What's your question?
Hey, I'm calling, and I'm sorry I'm off topic here. I'm new to the sales training thing and discovered grants material here about the last 2 months ago, and I just started trying to set some goals, and I'm really having a tough time trying to dig up the information that I'm looking for, and I'm trying to posture myself. I hear a lot of talk about the CEOs and the things that they do, and I know that reading material and absorbing knowledge is probably the number one thing. But what are 2, 3, 4, 5, any number of other things that I can start setting as goals for myself that when I do those things I'm gonna get immediate results from. I'm really curious to try to just get an answer that I can say, okay, I'm gonna start setting these goals every day.
Yeah, so, again, like writing personal goals is always going to be important, and thank you for the question. Writing your personal goals out is always going to be important, like your personal, like, hey, where do I want to be? If this were an ideal, perfect world, where would I be, right? Like, where would I be today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, whatever. And then you always write those as if they've already happened, so kind of like an affirmation. So, I make $2 million a year or $2 million a month or whatever, that goal is for you, or I've got a vacation home here. I'm able to take care of my family and my kids. They've all gone to 4-year, Ivy League schools, whatever those goals are for you. That's a great start. Also, take a look at expanding the amount of time that you operate. It's not really enough just to say, hey, work harder, because that's one way to do. That's at a surface level, working harder won't get you. Working longer won't get you what you want. You have to work like harder, right? You can't just stay an hour later and think that that's going to change your world. But if you look at the most successful people, look at the schedules they keep. I mean, they're up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I mean, the top CEOs, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, they're at the gym, they're working out, they're answering emails. I mean, they get more accomplished by 10 a.m. in the day than most people get accomplished in 10 or 12 hours. So, looking at it, breaking the norms, right? Look at the people around you that are average, right? Find out what they're not willing to do. Find out, are they not willing to make the extra calls? Are they not willing to study or educate themselves on their own dime? Like, what are all those things that they're not willing to do? Education's a big part of it, and I feel like when you have the self-education, like not from a school, but like, you're like, hey, I'm picking this book up and I'm going to learn something from it. You have more buy-in to that, right? Because it's your time that you're investing, and I'll be honest with you, I hate reading books, but I know that CEOs make a ton of money because they read a lot. So I absolutely hate reading books. There's nothing more than I hate more than that. In school, it was one of the things I was the worst at. But I know that it's, you got to do things that you don't want to do to make money. So education's a big thing. Understanding how much time you really have is a big thing. And really trying to go in and be great at what you do. Like, try to be the best. Like, when I go into the sales office or when I go into my company or whatever, I want to be the absolute best. You just have to focus on becoming a peak performance business professional. Like, I'm sure you've heard like peak performance athlete, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, but like, what do you got to do to get to be a peak performance business professional? What would Kobe Bryant do if it was the Kobe Bryant of business? Start thinking of things like that: the training, the development, the discipline, the nutrition. I mean, it's everything. It's a complete lifestyle shift. But until you know what you don't know, you can't use it, right? You can't use that information. So that's why everybody always says knowledge and information. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but that's where I'll leave you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That one's really tough, and I've been trying to dig up information. And like I said, I know when I set my own personal goals, it was like absorb information, get up earlier, and I already work, 14 hours a day as hard as I can go. I make as many phone calls and all that stuff. So I'm just having a hard time trying to put together, the last, if there's 5 goals, the last 2 or 3, it's like I know absorb information, I know wake up earlier, maybe learn something about financing, and then I just draw a blank. I'm like, dude, where the hell do I go? And I'm really struggling with it. So if you guys have any ability to get a hold of that and maybe kind of help me, because I think there's got to be a lot of people that get into it that think the same thing, that like, okay, well, I know I need to set goals, but what the hell do I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's going to vary by every person and the position and the company and what product you sell. If you're even a salesperson, like, it's going to vary by everybody. It's hard for us to prescribe one thing, because I could say go make 100 phone calls every day, but that may not be real in your business. Maybe you're in retail and you wait for people to come to you. I mean, I don't know. So, like, the thing to do is look at attitude, approach, action, like those 3 things. If one of those 3 things are out, A cubed, attitude, approach, activity, if one of those 3 things are out, you will fall short of the success that you're looking for. And so maybe you look back at you and say, hey, look, do I have a great attitude? Yes. Am I taking the right amount of activity? Well, yeah. Okay. Then there's something wrong with your approach. There's something you're missing. If you're the number 1 top performer in your office, you're doing everything right, and you're still like, I can't break out, you might be in the wrong vehicle. So you're going to have to do an assessment of which one of those things are out. Because if you're feeling held back, one of those things are out: attitude, approach, activity, or you're in the wrong vehicle.
Right. Well, thank you very much for everything you guys do. I can't tell you, like I said, I've only been on the Grant Cardone thing here for about 8 weeks, but it has made a major impact on my life, and I'm not, I haven't made the transition yet to just being a absolute badass, but I am on my way, and it's making a huge change, and it's just unbelievable to keep absorbing the information and be able to use it. And I've even, I came from a construction business where I made 30 grand a year, and I'm already doing, 3 or 4 grand a week, and that was before, I discovered this material, 8 weeks ago, and it's just, I'm just bloodthirsty, man. I just want anything I can get in front of me, and I've got a new drive, and it's just unbelievable. Every time I hear something from you guys, dude, it is awesome, and I've had the token people on my Facebook that, they want to be haters and they want to, talk bad, and it's like I'm in a spot now where, I can realize it's just because they're giving up on their stuff.
Good, man.
Dude,
Good.
It's amazing. I love your guys' stuff, and I appreciate everything you guys do.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you calling in. If there's ever anything we can do, you always can call in the office. If you want to get more specific info on, your specific situation, you can just call the office, ask for one of the guys in sales or whoever set up your account for you, and we can help you in a little bit more detail, more specific to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared.
Okay.
I really appreciate it.
Perfect. So, guys, we're talking about hiring process, right? So basically what we've covered is the pre-hire steps. So number 1, canned email response with access to the system for the DISC assessment. Number 2, we're going to monitor and measure activity over a few days to make sure that they're willing, that they're hungry, that they can follow instructions. We can find out what they're interested in. And then 3, we're going to have them actually shoot a 60-second video on a smartphone. It's really easy. Camera, video. Hey, my name's Jared Glant. So excited for the opportunity to come work for you. I'm hungry. I'm talented. I can't wait to make an impact. Whatever. It's easy. It's really easy. If people can't do easy things before they get a job when they're trying to impress you, what makes you think that's going to change once you start paying them? I mean, it makes no sense. So now I want to just give you a few things that have been helpful in interviewing. Now, this is going to be specifically related to salespeople. Okay, so we're specifically looking for salespeople. Again, the personality profile of somebody in accounting is going to be very different from sales. From web design, very different from sales. I'm talking about high-performing sales producers. Okay, 3 things that we look for. Number 1 is high ego drive. Why? Because, dude, they gotta win, right? So we actually, when we get past the first 3 steps of the pre-hire process, when we get them on the phone call, we actually tell them that they're not qualified for the position. Thanks so much. Don't think you're going to be a fit. And then we wait and hear. Anything coming back? Are they coming back? And then the ones you want bone up. They'll bone up and they'll get into you. Well, why is that? They'll come right back. Why is that? You're wrong. I'm the guy. You want them to be defensive right now because that means they're stepping up for what they believe in and they believe in themselves. Okay? Now, if they just roll over, what do you think is going to happen when a customer says they're not interested? Roll over, back to sleep, back to bed. And those aren't the people you want, man. You want the killers. So first thing you want to do is you want to try to identify high ego drive. The personality assessment will help indicate that, but you want to come up with some questions that are driven around identifying if they have the traits of a high ego drive person. So, if they ever played sports, that's always a good indicator. What have they done that they've excelled at outside of work? And then you can kind of get an idea for the person. If they were a middle, we were having a conversation the other day about firstborns, middleborn, lastborn. We were talking about, the birth order and how that affects things, finding out about their family. Again, that's, you probably need to be careful with that. I know you can't get too deep into personal questions like that, unless you get their permission, of course. Number 2, in the interview, you want to make sure that somebody's willing, right? We have people come here all the time, man. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll come here. I'll work for free. I'll fly out on my own dime. You don't have to guarantee me anything. All I'm going to do is produce, and you pay me off my production. I mean, those are the type of people that you actually want to look at. Now, just because somebody's willing doesn't mean that they have the skill. So you kind of have to balance the 2 things, right? What have they done in the past that's going to set them up for success where you're at, right? Do they possess the traits? Have they demonstrated those traits with their behavior up to this point, not just with their words, right? And then lastly, in the interview, we like to make sure that they think on their feet. that they're nimble, that they can be versatile, that they're not like locked in like in a box or something. They're not rooted into the ground on one thing. They can be fluid, because so often in times in a call or in a presentation, you need to be fluid. You have this 45-minute presentation prepared, and then you drop in, you say 3 or 4 words, and then they go, hey, how much does it cost? Or you want to take them to A, B, and C, and they want to jump into X, Y, and Z. You want to make sure that people can be nimble, right? Because it's going to force your customers are going to force them to be nimble. So those are really the 3 things we look for in the interview. Do they have a high ego drive? Are they a winner? Do they have to win? Are they that like? 2, how willing are they? If we make them go pick up trash, are they going to bitch about it, or are they going to go do it because they're hungry for the opportunity, right? Number 3, thinking on their feet, being versatile, being nimble. All right. I got a question here. What is a tip that you can give to someone who was just promoted to VP of Sales with no management experience, who struggles shifting into the mindset where you cannot be liked by everyone and you cannot please everyone and has a hard time confronting people? Wow, okay, that's a big question. So, look, when I got promoted into VP of Sales, I knew nothing about being a manager, right? I'll just be honest with you. I was a sales guy. I know how to interact with people, but confrontation wasn't an easy thing for me. I didn't really have any management skills, but you just have to think of how do you spread the success out, right? Like, how do you create more success? What are you doing for training and development, right? What are you doing to expand the business? What are you doing to make sure that your product and your presentation is on point, right? So you're looking at all these different segments of what you do so that you can focus on areas. Like, I've got 5 areas that I have my most attention on, and I've got a list, and I'm looking 5 big main activities that I need to be working with. It's training and development, hiring, product development, business expansion. So I've got my list of the things that I know, and for each of those lists, I have to come up with a plan for hiring, a plan for training and development, a plan for product development, plan for the overall expansion of the company, right? A plan for marketing and advertising, right? You have to kind of segment your role into those things and then work backwards into the strategy behind it. So that's my list. Hopefully that helps you. Confrontation with people. I love being liked by everybody, but I'm learning more and more that that's just, in some cases it's just not possible, If you have to confront somebody, you don't have to be a dick about it, You can be nice to somebody and confront them, right? But you just have to make sure that that there's consequences, right? Grant talks about it, right? If there's rewards, there have to be consequences. And you got to be able to make hard decisions. I know we've had to make hard decisions here. I've had to make hard decisions here. But it's just a part of the process, right? You have to push yourself. And every time you push yourself in that uncomfortable situation, that's when you're actually growing and developing. So if you're not getting uncomfortable in your new role, if you're not feeling like fearful or scared, you're not doing enough, I promise you, I guarantee you. Okay, so push yourself into those uncomfortable situations more often, and you'll actually be able to grow and expand. So thanks, JTAO, in the chat box. So look, I'm going to put together a short little synopsis of this little process for hiring. Okay, the average hire that stays with you less than 6 months costs you $25,000. Hiring the right people is more important now than ever. And making sure that once they get there, you set them up for training success is equally important. What are you going to do after the fact to make sure that they're successful within your organization, right? So if you have questions on this, please call the office, 310-777-0255. For the clients on the program, obviously, we can work together and help you tailor a plan. We've got some canned emails that we use, and we can actually walk you and your managers through the process. We can set up a quick meeting for your guys on GoToMeeting, do a video call about walking you through and creating a standard hiring process, leveraging the DISC assessment, leveraging the content in the platform, leveraging video messages to kind of pre-qualify people. As well. We can help you out with all of that. All you have to do is call and ask. We come here for Cardone University managers. We're here once a month bringing you this. It always happens on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. So keep an eye out in your email. Again, call the office. We're here to help you. If it's hiring, if it's prospecting, if it's closing, if it's selling, if it's follow-up, okay, if it's just getting your team jacked up, getting them more motivated, we can help you with all that. It's absolutely free of charge. It's included as part of your enrollment into Cardone University, but you have to ask, right? You have to take the phone calls from Wayne, from Marcel, from Andrea, right? From Angela. You got to take the phone call, right? because we want to help you succeed, okay? And we know that there's a lot of people out there winning in a big way. I was talking to a customer of ours, big customer, corporate customer, who was looking for a 3% increase in their activations once they signed up for our program. They said, if we can get a 3% increase in our activations, we can roll this out company-wide. In less than 60 days, they were up 28%. Okay, my man Milind Gupti, his business is up over 100% using the program. So people are out there winning. I guarantee you, if you're not seeing the results that you want, pick up the phone and put us to work, man. We'll get in there. We'll do some work. We'll fix your business. I'm always here to help. The team's here to help. Again, my name's Jared Glant, VP of Sales, at Jared Glant on Twitter if you want to follow me. Call the office if you have any questions. We're here to help. And we'll see you next time on the Cardone University Managers Support webinar. Take care.